Okay, let's work on the review, you guys. I'm in task A, and I'm going to do a few of these equations. So A is a unique one. This is the only equation that we would solve by what the book, or what this review calls undoing. And what they mean by that is just isolating x. So please notice on any equation that you are trying to solve, how complicated x's situation is. Look at this problem. I know this looks like a lot is going on, but that's a very uncomplicated x just sitting there all alone by itself, the only one. That's an isolate x situation. But look at all the rest of these. X squared over here, x over here, x squared over here, x over there, x squared x, x squared x, x squared x. These are not uncomplicated x situations. So these all I would not solve by undoing or isolating x. But part A, when you see x like that, that one is very simple, a simple problem to do. All you need to do is start slowly moving everyone away from x one by one. So let me show you. The first one to move is that 4. It's 4 times. You guys, when you solve an equation, you guys know PEMDAS. So you do PEMDAS in reverse order. So first, you do any addition or subtraction, not inside parentheses. Because remember, parentheses is first. So that's like, when you see that, that's not it. That's inside parentheses right now. I don't have any addition or subtraction. So then I move on to multiplication and division. You just do PEMDAS in reverse. I do have multiplication outside the parentheses. Where is it? It's right here. It's 4 times blah, blah, blah. So you will undo it by doing the opposite. You'll divide 4 on both sides. So now I have x minus 2 squared equals negative 16 divided by 4, which is negative 4. And then now I'm done with that. Next thing to eliminate is e exponents. I do have one right here, that 2. And you get rid of a square with a square root. And then anytime you square root both sides, you get a plus or minus. So write that down right away. Over here, these guys cancel, and we have x minus 2 equals, and then the square root of negative 4, you guys, it's this simple. The negative inside the radical will become an I. Okay, so we took care of the negative. Now you can pretend it's not there. Okay, you could just pretend this is now square root of 4. And the square root of 4 is 2. So here we are, 2. Plus or minus 2i. And then the last thing is inside the parentheses, we need to eliminate. And whatever's going on inside the parentheses, we also undo using this. So we, in a way, go back and redo this process to what's inside the parentheses. So is there addition or subtraction? Yes, there is. There's subtraction. So we'll undo it by doing the opposite, which is addition. And it cancels here. So I didn't cross these 4s out, but they cancel. So whenever you do your undoing, whenever you do the opposite, the thing that you had cancels. And now I'm left with just x equals, okay, this was a very common mistake area, you guys. I'm going to start highlighting them in red. When you see I highlight something in red, this was a place you guys made a lot of mistakes on the quiz. I cannot add this 2 plus the 2i and get 4i. This is an absolutely not situation. All right? 2 and 2i are not like terms. You cannot simplify them. So what you do is you just put the 2 in front of the plus or minus. 2 plus or minus 2i. And that's it. Final answer. That was A. Now, I did do B in class for like almost everybody. However, being the only one with the complicated factoring situation, I'm going to do it again on the video. Okay, because I really need you guys to understand how to factor. Okay, this was part A. I'll alternate colors maybe, make them easier to follow. Or draw little boxes. So cute. Okay, let's go to B. We'll do B right here. This is 5x squared equals 18x plus 8. Now, remember the first question was how are you going to solve this? And this, we already talked about how it's a complicated x situation, all right? I got an x here, it's squared. I got another x here, it's not squared, which means I can't combine these two, and I can't isolate x like this. So I go to my plan A when I have this situation. Plan A is factoring. Now, it's plan A because it's not always going to come through for me. So I do need a plan B. But plan A is factoring, and we check to see if it can factor. However, first, ax squared plus bx plus c must equal 0. So the first thing I want is for one side to equal 0. And I never want my x squared term to be negative, never ever. So I'm not going to move it and make it negative. What I'll do is I'll instead move the 18 and the 8. The 18x and the 8, excuse me. Okay. And then here we go. Let's highlight this in red, an area of error for you guys. You start trying to combine some of these things with each other. That's an x squared, that's an x, that's a constant. These are not like terms. None of them combine with each other. This is just 5x squared minus 18x minus 8, and that's it. It stays just like that, okay? And then here, 18x plus 8 minus 18x minus 8, cancel and cancel, and now we got our 0. Look at this, ax squared plus bx plus c equals 0. That means that A is 5, and B is negative 18, and C is negative 8. So let's see if our plan A works. Let's see if this factors. So let's multiply A by C, 5 times negative 8, and write it up here. And then let's multiply... Oh, no more multiplying. Let's just take this middle term, the negative 18, and write it here. And now, let's see what can multiply to make negative 40. Factors of negative 40 are 40. I'm sorry, not the negative, though. Forget the negative. Ooh, that was a big eraser, and I forgot that that was unfortunate. Let's do it like that. And let's make the eraser smaller, even though I can't erase like now. Okay, I don't think about the negatives. I just do 1 and 40, just 40. Divide 40, we got 1. Divide 40 by 2 on your calculator if you need. You'll see that 2 times 20 is 40. Divide 40 by 3 on your calculator. You'll see that nothing, that doesn't work because it's a decimal. Then divide by 4, you'll get 10. Then divide by 5, you'll get 8. Then divide by 6, you'll get a decimal, that's no good. You'll divide by 7, you'll also get a decimal, that's no good. You'll divide by 8 and you'll get 5, but 5 and 8 are already represented. So that means you're done. These are all the factors that can multiply to make 40. And which of them has the potential to potentially, with maybe adding, subtracting, negatives, whatever, become 18? 2 and 20. Because 20 minus 2 is 18, so it can happen. So we'll put 20 and 2 over here. And remember that the bigger number that you wrote down will match the bottom number. So if the 18 is negative, the bigger number is negative. And then now to get a negative 40 when I multiply these two, the other one's going to have to be positive. Because if it's negative, negative times a negative is positive. And you can verify this on your calculator. You don't have to worry about it. So here you are. It's negative 20 and positive 2. And then because a over here was not 1, we're not done. If it was, we would say x minus 20, x plus 2. And we'd be done. These two numbers, boom, done. However, that's only if a is 1. But it doesn't. Okay, so this was another area students made mistakes on the quiz. They ended up doing this. But in this case, since a is not 1, this is not the case. So what we do now, because a isn't 1, is we make this box. Where should we make the box? Over here, maybe? And you put the first term, 5x squared, in the first box. And you put the last term, negative 8, in the last box. And you put the negative 18x in these two boxes. But how are you going to put one thing in two boxes? Like this, with these two numbers that we found. Because negative 20x and 2x are negative 18x, okay? So you put them all there. Now let's zoom in here. And let's start looking between 5x squared and 2x. So I'm going to look across and I'm going to record my answer right here. What's the most I can divide both of these by? 5 and 2, just 1. X squared and x, x. Okay? Then let's look across here and record our answer right there on that line. Between negative 20x and 8, I can take out a 4, no x, but, and I want to make this a point, it's going to be negative 4, all right? And it's not negative 4 because both of these are negative. That's not why. It's negative 4 because the 20 is negative. So even if that 8 were positive, I would still take a negative out right here, okay? If the one right here is negative, you take it out. Take out the negative. Okay, now let's look this way. We'll look up and down and we'll record our answer here. Between 5x squared and negative 20x, I can take out a 5 and I can take out an x. So notice I don't take a negative out this time because the box I'm closest to is positive. And then I look at 2x and negative 8, and the most I can take out of there is a 2. And so now I'm done. Finally, I am done. These, ooh, that's a really big highlighter. These, ooh, wrong spot. Third time's a charm. These are what go in the parentheses. Ooh, and that rhymed. Okay, let's take a look at this. After all this work, here's what that means. That means 5x squared minus 18x minus 8 is really 5x plus 2 and x minus 4. And please, here's another place that caused a lot of you issues, is losing your equal sign. So 5x squared minus 18x minus 8 became this, but I still have that equal sign after that, and I still have the 0 after that. And now I can solve this factored equation. All I have to do is take each of these factors, the parentheses are the factors, so take the 5x plus 2, take the x minus 4, and set each individually equal to 0, because if either one of them is 0, then you're multiplying something by 0 and your answer will be 0. We solve a two-step equation. This one is a two-step equation by first subtracting or adding the opposite of whatever we have on both sides. And next, dividing what's in front of the x. So x equals a negative 2 over 5. That's one of my answers. And over here, this is a one-step equation. All I have is the undoing of the subtracting or adding. X equals 4. That's my other one. And I'm done here. Okay, that's the answer to B. Okay. I say we do one more. I'm going to briefly look at these. So this one right here, this one, plan A would be to factor, but you'll see that it doesn't factor. So I would use quadratic formula. This one, it looks like with 7 and 3, you can factor this. So this one I would factor. Remember that I have a YouTube video, which is factoring a...
Attention, everybody. We want to show you something.
Oh, okay. Does it have to be right now, or can we wait?
Right now.
It has to be now. Okay, 1 second.
It's so fun.
Okay, 1 second, baby. Okay, I'm back. Alrighty, so now that's that one. 39 is 3 and 13. This one too, I would use quadratic, you guys. It doesn't factor. Now all of these could also be done with completing the square, but I would only use that to put something into vertex form. Here is what I think we should do. We should definitely do a quadratic formula one. And I'm thinking of doing this one. Just because this has an extra step the others don't have. I don't know if you noticed this, but 3, 30, and 81 are all divisible by 3. And because I have an equal sign, meaning I can balance by doing the same thing to the other side, I'm actually able to divide everybody by 3 here and make this equation a simpler one than what it is right now. So I will do E down here. So divide everybody by 3. The 3 cancels here. I just have x squared. This is E. This is what E has become. Negative 30 divided by 3 is 10. Negative 10. And negative 81 divided by 3 is negative 27. Okay, here I am. Now remember, like on part B that we did, when I have this situation, this x squared and x situation, my plan A is to factor. So I come over here, but remember, but first, I need... this is gonna... No, it didn't bite me in the butt. Okay, this is gonna be ax squared plus bx plus c equals 0. But first I need it to be that. So looking here, I'm gonna add this 27 to both sides. And get x squared minus 10x plus 27 equals 0. And honestly, we could complete the square with this so nicely. And then you just gotta divide this by 2 and square it and add it. Maybe I'll do it that way too for fun after. Okay, so I try to think what can multiply to make 27 but add to make negative 10. And with 27, my only options are 1 and 27 and 3 and 9. Okay, you could check. You could check 2, it doesn't work. You could check 4, it doesn't work. 5 doesn't work. 6 doesn't work. 7 doesn't work. 8 doesn't work. And 9 works, but we already have 9 and 3. So it's not so hard ever to really run through all the factors of something. But 3 and 9, they don't make 10. They can make 12 or they can make 6 if I add or subtract, but can't make 10. And 1 and 27 can make 28 or 26, but again, not 10. So when this happens, this actually doesn't factor, and my plan A doesn't come through for me. So I need plan B. Now, plan B is the quadratic formula for me personally. And that's why plan C is to complete the square. But the thing is, you guys, is that the quadratic formula always comes through. So I kind of never make it to plan C of completing the square, even though it's honestly, like, it's kind of nicer. I don't know why everybody collectively hates completing the square, including myself. But it is what it is. So I'll do quadratic formula and then I'll also do completing the square. Okay, quadratic formula. has the same, but first. But first I need ax squared plus bx plus c. I'm going to write it so you don't forget. And it must equal 0, which we have now. So now a equals 1, and b equals -10, and c equals 27. And so x will equal negative b plus or minus square root b squared minus 4ac, all divided by 2a. X equals negative 10 plus or minus the square root of -10 squared minus 4 times 1 times 27, all divided by 2 times 1. And now I go simplify each term without mixing terms with each other. So negative 10 is 10. Negative 10 squared is 100. 4 times 1 is 4. And 4 times 27 is 8. Carry the 2, 108. Divided by 2. And so now, I just keep simplifying. So 100 minus 108 is a -8. And then, again, don't divide these two. That's an error. Trying to divide these two right now. What I'm going to do is keep simplifying so that I have 10 plus or minus. I'm going to simplify this square root of -8 so that I know that negative is an I. Negative inside the rad is an I outside the rad. And what I need now is to know what the square root of 8 is. And 8 is 4 times 2. And 4 is 2 times 2. So that means that 2 of these can partner up and break out. And 1 of these stays in. And so it's 2 rad 2. That's rad 8. Okay? If you get stuck in this process, you guys, please don't do some weird voodoo math. Just go back and leave rad 8 for me right there. Leave 10 plus or minus rad 8i. All right? This only loses a little bit of points. All right? But you pulling some voodoo math here and like making up something that's not right anymore, it loses way more points. And then we divide by 2. And now, because of the presence of this I must break this fraction up. And I break it up like this. So the 2 belongs to everybody in the numerator, the 10 and the 2 rad 2i. Like that. So this is 10 divided by 2, plus or minus 2 rad 2i divided by 2. Okay? And then 10 divided by 2 is 5. Now this part, I can divide this 2 and this 2 only. The 2 in the rad would never simplify with that 2, never. Okay? Okay, final answer, 5 plus or minus rad 2i. So that was using plan B. All right, we started here, we did all this, we ended up here. Let's look at plan C, completing the square. Because maybe after seeing it, you'll actually decide, you know what? Completing the square is my plan B from now on. I will tell you this. Because, let's start with what we started with. X squared minus 10x plus 27. Actually, with completing the square, we would leave it here. Let's go back. Because with completing the square, we don't need ax squared plus bx plus c. We would go back to where it was here. I just leave a little space after this. So this is for plan C of completing the square. I just want to point out something. I would absolutely never make completing the square plan B if this number right here was odd. If it was an odd number, the first thing I got to do is divide it by 2 and make a fraction. And after that, I really would just stick with quadratic. But when this number in the middle is even, completing the square might be easier than all of this, okay? So let's check. Step 1, divide that number by 2 and write it down, okay? Write it down is my big, simple advice that saves you so much headache. After you write it down, square it. So -5 times -5 is 25. Add it, plus 25. Now I just went and added 25 to one side of my equation. Because I have the other side, I'll also add it to the other side, okay? And so now, x squared minus 10x plus 25 will factor into that. That's why writing down the -5 makes your life easier. And then -27 plus 25 is -2. And now I just solve this the way I did part A. This looks like part A now. What you'll do is square root both sides. Cancel, cancel. X minus 5 equals, whenever you square root both sides, you get plus or minus square root of -2. Now we simplify, okay? So I can add the 5 to both sides. And remember, you can't add these two. So this is going to be x equals 5 plus or minus. Now square root of -2, remember that the negative becomes an I. And then the square root of 2 is square root of 2. Because you can't simplify. 2 is prime. 2 is only 2 times 1. This factor tree is going nowhere. We're done here. Holy crap. You guys, look how we got that same answer. Oh my gosh. I mean, I knew completing the square wasn't so bad. I knew I should probably make it plan B if the middle term is positive and A is 1 especially. So who knows? Maybe you'll redo the process. I don't know. Okay, it's up to you though, you guys. It's up to you. Okay, this video is already 27 minutes long. So what I'm going to do is have a task A video for you, and then the other ones, if you need them, I'm going to do the rest in another video.